Honorable Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Coal and Mines, Government of India. I also acknowledge the hard work done by Professor Amay Kumar Rath and ably supported by Dr. Samuel. The book has been compiled by Dr. Shrikant Swami, academic consultant, Dr. Wahidul Hassan, and Madhukarji. I am grateful to Dr. Raghu Akamanchi for coordinating with this program. And needless to mention about the hard work and services rendered by Sri H.V. Chandrasekhar ji, academic consultant. I am grateful to all the higher education institutions, especially professors, vice chancellors, and all the beneficiaries of the academic institutions. We have with us little more than 50,000 principals, professors, and vice chancellors gathering. Let me start introducing with a small citation of Sri Prahalad Joshi ji, Honorable Minister for Parliamentary Affairs and Coal and Mines, Government of India. Let me start with a shloka of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3 of Karma Yoga. Yadyadacharati shrestah tattad devetaro janah sayat pramanam kurute lokasta dhanur vardate. Its bhavartha is, whatsoever a great man does, that other men also do, the standard he sets up, by that people in the world will follow. The above words from Bhagavad Gita more aptly and meaningfully ensembles and harmonizes with the personality of our Honorable Minister, Sri Prahalad Joshi ji, in all aspects. There is an adage that destiny always favors the brave. It is said that a lamp in the midst of dark needs no introduction. However, I deem it as my honor and privilege for attaining an opportunity to introduce this great persona. And it is a challenging task to comprehensively capture him in terms of words due to wide range of transformative roles he played in his social and political life so far. Born on 27th November 6, 1962 in a devout and respectable family to Sri Venkatesh Joshi ji and Srimati Malati Bhai ji, as third child, Sri Prahalad Joshi ji had a disciplined childhood, completed his primary education in Railway School, Hubballi, secondary education in New English School, Hubballi, and BA graduation from Sri Kadasiddheshwara Arts College, Hubballi, affiliated to Karnataka University, Dharwad. Apart from his formal education, his family Milo, which had rich cultural values, inclination towards ethical perspective with spiritual ambience and intellectual discipline, right from his student days, infused him the spirit of nationalism and fervent urge to serve the poor populace by plunging into the public life. Much of what he did to transform the state of Karnataka and country as a whole flowed from his personality, value system. He rigorously followed vision of education, leadership qualities, and rich heritage. And Sri Prahalad Joshi ji humbly attributes the strong belief he innocuously carried in his heart and the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. These qualities encouraged him at younger days to join BJP as its activist, and gradually he played important role in the party from strength to strength in the state of Karnataka. During 1992, Sri Prahlad Joshi took upon himself the local leadership on Save Kashmir movement, and thus he ignited the spirit of nationalism amongst the students and youth. During the same year, he led a movement with success in Hubli by hoisting a tricolor national flag in Kittur, Chennamma circle, which capitulated him to the fame of born leader with cult of patriotism in Karnataka. From 1995 to 1998, he was BJP president for Dharwad district. And later, from 1998 to 2003, he became general secretary for Dharwad district, during which period Sri Prahlad Joshi ji worked tirelessly from grassroots level to strengthen the party, and he was instrumental in BJP gaining popularity in the state Karnataka which is termed as Gateway of BJP in South India. During 2004, Sri Prahalad Joshi ji was elected to the 14th Lok Sabha, and since then the Dharwad constituency has become the bastion of BJP. During this period, he worked as member of standing committees on chemical and fertilizer and many more joint parliamentary committee on work. From 2006 to 2013, Sri Prahlad Joshi was BJP General Secretary for Karnataka unit, and during 2007, he was member of Standing Committee of Tourism, etc. Irrespective of the positions held to be held, Sri Prahlad Joshi ji is always a transformative leader, strategist, service entrepreneur, nation builder, and an abiding inspiration in all the services in public life. In 2009, Sri Prahlad Joshi ji was re-elected with landslide victory for the second term to the 15th Lok Sabha. During this period, Sri Prahlad Joshi ji emerged as man of masses, the Jananayaka, because of his selfless service to the society, ardent belief in nationalism, and unstinting adherence to the party. Sri Prahlad Joshi ji became BJP president for the Karnataka state unit. In the Lok Sabha elections held during 14 and 19, he was re-elected for third and fourth term respectively, during which period he had immensely contributed in several prominent committees and later inducted by our Honorable Prime Minister's Cabinet Minister holding the portfolios of Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, Coal and Mines. Sri Prahlad Joshi ji is also a prolific writer and authored a book in Kannada titled Sadhanaya Sankalpa, associated with several midday meal projects and free general education and eye camps. Represented Indian parliamentary delegation at the United Nations General Assembly and spoke on atrocity on women and children and for genuine political settlement to the Tamil issues in Sri Lanka. Sri Prahlad Joshi ji, by his sheer innovative administrative skills, broadened horizon of his experience, uncanny ability to connect the people, their intentions, recognizing the right people with potential and attitudes. Diversity of thoughts has made him to surpass excellence, being an eloquent speaker, an ability which he has developed painstakingly. Sri Prahlad Joshi ji has restructured and revamped the mission with core values of becoming a unifying force in country's political arena to achieve national goal and providing them right direction by his fertile perspectives. This reminds me of Sri Chandrasekharendra Saraswati Swamiji of Kanchi Kamakoti Peetam has written a Sanskrit verse called Maitrim Bhajatam Akila Grijetrim Atmava Paranapi Pashyat Yuddham Tyajata Spardham Tyajati. It goes on and on. The last sentence is Shreyo Bhuyam Sakala Jananam. Shreyo Bhuyam, unifying force, national goal, taking people along with them with a pure heart and mind. And Mr. Clean is Mr. Sri Prahalad Joshi ji. Sir, we are very proud, and I wholeheartedly extend a warm welcome on behalf of 50,000 higher education institutions across the country, on behalf of NAC, on behalf of people, higher education institutions in Karnataka. Thank you very much, sir. Wholeheartedly welcome you, sir. Namaskar, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now there are release of two books and one Silver Jubilee issue of NAC newsletter. Let me read out the gist and the content of the book. The first book is Pursuit of Quality in Higher Education, an Indian Perspective. Let me read out the gist. This edition is dedicated to 25 years of accomplished journey in commemorating the Silver Jubilee year of NAC. This book contains 24 articles written by vice chancellors, professors, and academicians involved in the assessment and accreditation process of NAC. keeping the Indian perspective and quality enhancement as the primary focus. This book will be beneficial to the higher education institutions and its professionals to enrich their knowledge to contribute for quality education. Dr. S. Srikant Swami, Chief Editor, Professor S. C. Sharma, Director NAC, and Dr. M. S. Shyamsundar as editors. The second book, which is going to be released today, the Best Practice Series, Management Practices, Case Presentations. This is one among the several best practice series published by NAC. This book contains case presentation of the best practices evolved by higher education institutions accredited by NAC, especially in the area of management practices. This book contains 12 best practices and gives a true understanding of the concept of best practice as well as the format to be followed while submitting evidences for best practices by higher education institutions. Dr. B.S. Madhukar, Dr. Vaidul Hassan, and Dr. Srikant Swami involved in the preparation of this book. The third one is about NAC newsletter. The NAC News is a biannual newsletter of the National Assessment and Accreditation Council catering to the quality needs of higher educational institutions in the country since 1999. Over the years, the newsletter has created a niche for itself and has surged ahead in the pursuit of excellence. The newsletter database currently stands at 7,000 copies, which by far is one of the largest mailing list of academic newsletter in the country, along with soft copies being emailed on request. The NAC News, through its various columns, news articles, and features, secondly, shares viewpoints and ideas on various aspects involved in nurturing quality culture among higher education institutions. Now, I request our Honorable Minister, Sri Prahlad Joshi ji, sir, please release the two books as well as NAC newsletter. Sir, please. Sir, Director NAC, Professor S. C. Sharma, sir, please join in releasing the books. Thank you very much, sir. Now I request uh, Honorable Minister on the topic, Sri Prahlad Joshi ji, on the topic higher education with special emphasis during COVID-19. Sir, please.
Professor S. C. Sharma, Director NAC, who has brought in a lot of new things, new ideas. As soon as he became the Director NAC, he has brought in a new creativity in the NAC by which the creativity can be introduced in the higher education also. And this is his new creativity during COVID, what we can do and how we can proceed with the higher education. This is the new thing he has brought in, and I congratulate Sharma and his entire team for bringing more creativity in NAC and trying to create enthusiasm in the thousands of academicians, teachers who are trying to inspire the youths of the country, which is also the strength of the country. I congratulate you once again. And I recognize the presence of all distinguished vice chancellors, academicians representing the higher education institutions across the country, eminent participants, and officers and the staff of the NAC. It is indeed a special honor and privilege bestowed on me to have been invited to release the special Silver Jubilee issue of the NAC New Settler and also to speak few words on this special occasion, the theme higher education, with special emphasis during the COVID-19. Higher education, as we all know, post-COVID and pre-COVID, there will be a true situation because we all know post-COVID and pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, everything was, especially country like India, everything was physically we used to attend, physically we used to talk, and many such things. I don't want to go into details of that. Now, what is the technology and how technology can be used even in the field of education, not only in the field of education, in many walks of the life, how we can use the technology. This is teaching us. Whenever problems comes, we should convert into it an opportunity. So converting an opportunity, now NAC is trying to do that because as far as I know, being in the administration from last 1 year and also being the active parliamentarian, how technology can bring the change and why we should use the technology. One, now we are talking about the COVID, and because of that, higher education with a special emphasis during the COVID-19 with theme you are trying to, and your new settler is also contains that. But this thing is, a country like us, when we use the technology, there will be a sea change. I will just give an example, then I will go for the inputs given by you and also the prepared speech of mine. I will go for that. When we use the technology, ours being the welfare state, we provide so many schemes, we give so many schemes to the poor people being the welfare state. For example, as far as cooking gas is concerned, we used to give subsidy to the companies, and companies used to give supply the cylinders to the home. And many such things. Scholarship and many assistance schemes like old age pension, widow pension, all such things, many such things are there. When we used to physically transfer the money or physically hand over the cash, and today I am just comparing the situation, how the system can change, how technology can change. After introducing Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and mobile, JAM, and directly transferring, linking it to Aadhaar, we saved around 33,000 crores only as far as our cooking gas is concerned, subsidy is concerned. Means so much of duplicate, so much of fake things were going on. Only because of technology we could change that. And as far as other things are concerned, when we started the DBT, direct benefit transfer through Aadhaar and through technology, we have saved 1,70,000 crores to the exchequer. This is what the technology can bring the change. That's why it is the need of our to adopt the technology in all walks of the life so that we can bring the transparency. And I'm happy NAC is taking a lot of initiatives in doing this. I once again congratulate you. I'm very happy to note that NAC New Settler, through its various columns, news articles, and the features, shares viewpoints and ideas on various aspects involved in nurturing a culture of quality among the higher education since 1999. I'm also told that New Settler has created a niche for itself and has surged ahead in the pursuit of the excellence, reaching a reader, a database that currently stands 7,000, which by far is one of the largest mailing lists of academic news settler in the country. This is also one of your very good achievement. This is the largest mailing list of the news settler in the country. I congratulate you. Friends, we are living in the age of accelerated change as onslaught of COVID-19 pandemic continues to wreak havoc. While the winds of change are relentless and pervasive for our generation, this is the seismic change and only the naturally preparedness to adapt and cope is being tested. This is the testing time for us. The rapidity of the spread of virus, the innumerable ways in which it is mutating has impacted established system and the institution and toppled it over. Initially itself, I said, pre-corona and post-corona. Now we are in the almost in the post-corona age. How to rebuild, renew, and move forward in the greatest preoccupation for time being. I'm not telling it is time being using technology should be permanent. The same is also true of the conundrum surrounding the higher education system in the country today. Beloved Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has echoed this sentiment, but has also, more importantly, paved a practical way forward. Modi ji, in his address to the nation on 12th May 2020, gave a new lexicon and has rightly captured the spirit of our modern times with the confidence, enhancing and positively charged nation Atmanirbhar or self-reliance. The Atmanirbhar concept is revitalizing the mantra in this atmosphere of uncertainty and fear. And for achieving the ambitious and dreams of youthful and emergent of Indian population to the tide over the turbulent times is also the mantra which can propel the Indian education system, particularly higher education, to achieve the global standards and thus catapult India in a sought-after destination for higher education. While technology has been harnessed to enhance almost every system, be it business, governance, or healthcare, the education system has been left behind in India. This we have to know. The Western world is at an advantage as it has already deployed the technology in education to enhance reach and quality of the education delivery mechanism. India thus finds itself at pivotal point, ready to make the leap and harness the benefits of technology in education industry to measure up the global standards. These institutions that embrace this transition will survive and thrive. Those that don't may well perish. NAAC is a premier assessment and accreditation body, has been rendering human service to the nation since its inception. It would only be fair to say that it is evolved and along with has also evolved the quality of teaching, learning experience, research in higher education in our country. Education plays a pivotal role in human capital formation. If country's human capital is well educated, it can devise better development programs and evolve better strategy to implement them. Parallelly, it can effectively and efficiently troubleshoot the problems ailing nation, be it social, economic, or political or cultural. As we know, India is the most young country in the world. So development of human resource index is the paramount. Our human resource index is quite low comparatively other countries, but after Shri Narendra Modi took over, we are trying with the various measures, including developing the skill and other things. And we have to also plan, because world needs skilled people. World needs good teachers, good nurses. Many such skilled people are needed in the world. Only India can supply, we should understand that. Only India can supply, because we have good young population, and that young population, if it is properly educated, if it is properly trained, we can supply, we can export very good human resource to the entire world. Industry, academia, academia collaboration that occurs in the higher education is one of the most potent manner in which to bring practical knowledge and the rigor of research to break new ground. The society is the beneficiary of cutting edge research that occurs in the laboratories of higher education institutions. Proactive engagement of higher education institution with local community has helped successfully discover and address the problems healing community from grassroots level upwards. High standards of research methodology and analysis by student has given answer to many problems that impact citizens who are underprivileged and living at the fingers of our society. Higher education institutions are harbingers of social change. They are the best lab for initiating and testing any sort of social change at the macro level of the country. With the aid of scientifically tested knowledge, emerge the best practices. Equipping the students with this knowledge can initiate the change in their perspectives and eventually in their behavior also. Once the revolution bears the roots in the higher education institution, it will branch out into larger society. Our aspiration for an ideal society that is equal, inclusive, and empathetic sprout out of the practices in higher education institution. They shape our principles and practices related to, for instances, sustainable development, society equity, renewable energy, and solid waste management. That brings us to another very important aspect of higher education institution. It is under the able guidance and stewardship of the esteemed members of faculty that all development activities are carried out in higher education institution. Highly qualified, motivated, dedicated workforce are the creators of the opportunities. They identify potential and bring out the best in their students. They convert raw talent into an employable workforce and great entrepreneurs to the country. We should make every person employable, and we should make him to understand what he can do. The stakeholders of the higher education system are working towards increasing the gross enrollment ratio with the intention of democratizing higher education and empowering the youth from tier 2 to tier 3 cities, and of course the rural youth. The focus is also to encourage more and more girl children to enroll into the higher education. We have an enormous talent pool, and all they need is opportunity, and that is being provided by our higher education institution. As an apex body, NAC has been playing a premier role in assessing and accrediting of the quality higher education. NAC is tirelessly working towards the enhancing the quality of higher education in the country. Equipped with the insight into the status of higher education, NAC is guiding force for the higher education institution to transition to meet the needs of new education policy. NAC is the only repository of the valuable data about the higher education institution of the country. For any country, data of many walks of the life is very, very important if you have data. Recently, we saw migrant laborers, प्रवासी मजदूर जो हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं, उनका हमारे पास डाटा नहीं रहे. There was no data. That was why the problem was created. And this NAC has the repository of valuable data, and that data can be used for the further upgradation. The data that the institution provides NAC for the assessment and accreditation is valuable, and that it helps the NAC from big picture to form a big picture of the higher education in the country, and that is so essential to evaluate existing policies and formulate the progressive and relevant policies and the guidelines that can take Indian higher education to the global standards. Institution only stand to benefit in several ways by embracing the NAC. Every higher education institution must volunteer to get scrutinized and accredited by the NAC. It is an opportunity to evaluate themselves and understand their strength, weakness, opportunities, and challenge, and helps them to identify their avenues of growth. Grades they receive also provide the opportunities for seeking the funding. Giving education to children is a noble service. Such a service must be highest quality. NAC gives an opportunity to evolve and grow. At this point of time, I also urge to provide proper moral education also. Our moral values, Indian moral values, that can only save the India, and even that can save ourselves also. Let us not forget our rich heritage. The Indian higher education system has a hallowed past. Nalanda and Takshila universities in 5th and 6th centuries were the highest center of learning in the world. These are our benchmarks, and if we have to reach anywhere near them, constant innovation, tireless pushing of our quality standards is imperative. These universities of your attracted the students and the scholars from all over the world by virtue of their erudite and eminent scholars and high quality of education they offer. Ancient India, thanks to these universities, was much sought after much sought after hub for higher education. NAC should help to reach those standards to make India a destination for higher education. That is the challenge before us. You are working well. I hope under the leadership of Sharma and all the members of the NAC, you will achieve this, and the glory of India in the field of education, it will reach and height when we had the Nalanda and Takshila in the 5th century. What the glory India had at that time, I hope NAC will bring back that. With that expectation, I wish you all the best. Thank you for inviting me and allowing me to speak few words. Dhanyavad.
Thank you very much, sir. Next, my turn is to offer vote of thanks. A warm and grateful afternoon to our most valued chief guest, Honorable Minister of Parliament Affairs, Coal Mines, all dignitaries, colleagues, and my dear friends. It's my privilege to propose vote of thanks and acknowledge the contribution of those who worked hard to make today's event a resounding success. On behalf of NAC, I extend a really hearty vote of thanks to our chief guest, Sriman Prahlad Joshi ji, Honorable Minister of Parliament Affairs, Coal and Mines, who spared time from his busiest schedule to grace this occasion. Sir, Today we had an opportunity to hear your thoughts, and this will surely be going to encourage us in our future events. Your thoughts have enriched and enlightened our minds and shown us a new path. My gratitude to you, sir, for gracing this occasion. I thank and express a deep sense of appreciation to our Executive Committee Chairman, Professor Virendra Singh Chauhan, and our loving Director, Professor S.C. Sharma, for always stimulating us to do our best and standing as pillars of strength. Sir, you have been a constant support and given a lot of encouragement. Thank you, sir. I heartily convey my gratitude to all the respected vice chancellors, professors, principals, director IQAC, and their coordinators, and all eminent academicians, representatives who have blessed us with their presence. I also extend my sincere thanks to all academicians who have participated on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, without whom this ceremony could not have been successful. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very proactive and dedicated support staff of our institutions who are well versed in their assignments. I would like to thank all my colleagues and staff members for their enormous cooperation in this event. Lastly, on behalf of NAC, a big thank to all. I value you and your every moment that you stay in this platform of learning. Thank you. Jai Hind. Now I declare this event closed.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharma ji.
ಸರ್ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ, ತುಂಬಾ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಸರ್. ಬಹಳ ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಸರ್.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ. ನಿಮಗೂ ಧನ್ಯವಾದ for providing opportunity.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಸರ್.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.